Nothing is more destructive of respect for the government and the law of the land than passing laws which cannot be enforced. That's what Albert Einstein once said about America, specifically criticizing prohibition. The founder of modern physics was skeptical about laws that sounded good on paper, but were basically unenforceable. I'm Mike with List 25, and today I'm counting down 25 of the most unusual American laws still enforced. And don't forget about the most important rule to remember, that if you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell, you could become the most informed person you know. Let's get to it. 25. Alabama. No fake mustaches in church if they cause laughter. In Alabama, if you're heading to church, you better make sure to wear only your Sunday best. An old law prohibits wearing fake mustache in church if it somehow makes people laugh. Yes, somewhere in Alabama's history, someone must have thought fake mustaches were wreaking havoc on Sunday services. Imagine a dapper young fellow sneaking into the sermon with a big old bushy Groucho Marx mustache and a wry smile to match, and sending the choir into fits of laughter. This law was made to stop that guy. Of course, it's rarely, if ever, enforced today. Maybe Groucho Marx would appreciate his likeness being persona non grata in such a serious situation, as he famously told one club in Hollywood, "Please accept my resignation. I don't want to belong to any club that'll accept me as a member." 24. Alaska. Don't be visibly drunk in a bar. Alaska has a law that's the definition of irony. It is illegal to be visibly drunk in a bar. You heard me right. If you're in the one place specifically designed for drinking, you're not allowed to look like you've been drinking. At least not too much. The law requires bartenders and staff to avoid serving anyone who's obviously intoxicated. It's clearly meant to curb public drunkenness and to keep people safer. At least 7 states actually define the term intoxicated by statute: Alaska, Arizona, Hawaii, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and Virginia. So, if you're ever in the last frontier enjoying a cold one, pace yourself. In Alaska, doing too well at the bar could actually get you kicked out, and you could find yourself passed out cold in the freezing cold. 23. Arkansas. Mispronouncing Arkansas is illegal. You better watch your tongue in Arkansas. There's a law dating back to 1881 that makes it illegal to mispronounce the name Arkansas. By statute, it's meant to be said Arkansas, with the final S silent, reflecting the name's French origins. This law was passed to settle confusion and disputes over how to say the state's name and to preserve a bit of Arkansas heritage. It's a reminder to locals and visitors alike of the proper way to refer to the natural state the natural way. Think of it like a magic spell that you have to say correctly. It's Arkansas, not Arkansas, or else. Say it wrong and you might get a polite correction. "Hey, I saw you say Arkansas. Don't get sassy. It's Arkansas, see?" 22. California. Women can't drive wearing housecoats. In California, an old law technically says that women aren't supposed to drive while wearing a housecoat. For anyone wondering, a housecoat is basically a bathrobe. Perhaps once upon a time, someone thought a lady driving in a robe was the pinnacle of indecency or distraction. So in the law books, it went. Into the law books it went. No driving in your PJs, madam. You won't see the fashion police fret too much, though. The rule remains on the books simply because no one's bothered to repeal it yet. These days, if you do need to do a midnight Taco Bell run in your jammies, you're probably safe. But technically, California might prefer you throw on some proper clothes before hitting the gas, just in case the fashion police are clocking you on the 405. 21. Colorado. Indoor furniture is banned on porches. In some places in Colorado, it's illegal to keep indoor furniture outside on porches or lawns. That means no upholstered couches or recliners decorating the front yard. This law originally was enacted to keep neighborhoods looking tidy and, more importantly, to prevent a very Colorado-style form of mischief. College students were notorious for dragging couches onto porches, which is no big deal, but occasionally setting them on fire during big celebrations. After a few fiery incidents and general complaints about eyesore sofas, the city decided to outlaw the practice altogether. On the bright side, you've now got a perfect excuse when your buddy asks you to help move his old sofa to the porch. No can do, pal. I'm no lawbreaker. 20. Delaware. Whispering in church is prohibited. In Delaware, one town's local laws say that if you must say something in church, you'd better say it loud enough for all to hear, because secrets are no fun unless you share with everyone. Whispering during church services is prohibited. Now, how does one enforce a no whispering rule? Does the town employ professional eavesdroppers ready to pounce on the sound of a hushed voice between hymns? Unlikely. But it remains a testament to a time when even a soft psst in the pews could be seen as a moral threat. Best keep that chit-chat for coffee hour. 19. Florida. Unmarried women can't parachute on Sundays. You've heard plenty of extreme stories about Florida man. But what about wild Florida woman tales? One Florida law states that unmarried women aren't allowed to parachute on Sundays. Yes, you heard that correctly. Once upon a time, a daring single gal who went skydiving on a Sunday could supposedly be fined or even jailed. The rule was likely rooted in old-fashioned ideas of decency and perhaps a dash of sexism. Maybe the powers that be thought a woman should be in church on a Sunday, not jumping out of an airplane, unless a husband gave his blessing. Enforcement of this obsolete rule is basically non-existent today, thank goodness. For some reason, Sundays get a ton of attention from overzealous legislators. 18. Georgia. Eating fried chicken with a fork is illegal in Gainesville. Some lawmakers take how people eat their food way too seriously in Gainesville, Georgia. Forks and fried chicken do not mix, and that's the law. Gainesville actually passed an ordinance declaring it illegal to eat fried chicken with a fork. The city calls itself the poultry capital of the world, and in 1961, this rule was established as a publicity stunt to emphasize that the proper way to enjoy fried chicken is to use your fingers. Now, they aren't waiting to slap cuffs on you for improper utensil use. In fact, the law was largely forgotten until the 2000s when Gainesville started playing it up for fun. In 2009, a 91-year-old visitor pretended to get arrested for eating fried chicken with a fork as part of a prank that city officials arranged, and she was pardoned in a ceremony with lots of laughs. It was all in good spirits to celebrate the city's chicken heritage. 17. Hawaii. Coins can't be placed in the ears. Hawaii has a law on the books that will make every birthday party magician think twice. It's illegal to put coins in your ears. More specifically, you're not allowed to place a coin in someone else's ear, or your own for that matter, as a practical joke or illusion. Some folks say it was to prevent a health hazard, and others think it was to stop con men from tricking people. The classic, "Hey, what's behind your ear? It's a quarter" trick could technically get you in trouble in paradise. But we're pretty sure Hawaiian police have bigger fish to fry than enforcing this one. If you somehow want to pull off a neat trick, leave the coins for the tip jar, not the ear canal. Your audience will thank you. 16. Idaho. Cannibalism is illegal, except for survival. Some things are better left unsaid, but leave it to Idaho to explicitly outlaw one of the most universally taboo activities: cannibalism. While pretty much everywhere else operates under the assumption that, eating your fellow human is a big no-no, Idaho went ahead and put it in writing. Cannibalism in Idaho is a felony that can get you up to 14 years in prison. The wildest part about this law? It has a built-in exception in extreme circumstances as the only apparent means of survival. In other words, if you're stranded in the wilderness and it's down to truly desperate measures, like in the Donner Party scenario, the law grudgingly acknowledges it might let it slide. To date, there hasn't been a modern case truly testing this defense, which is fantastic. After all, breaking this law could really cost an arm and a leg. 15. Indiana. Cold beer can't be sold in grocery stores. Your convenience store beer run might turn into a bit of a scavenger hunt in Indiana. By law, grocery stores and gas stations can't sell you cold beer, only the room temperature variety. If you want a chilled six-pack, you'll have to go to a designated liquor store. This unusual restriction has been around since the mid-20th century as part of the state's rather complex alcohol regulations. Essentially, Indiana decided that selling cold beer was a privilege reserved for liquor stores, which have stricter rules and age checks to draw a line between them and your average supermarket. Indiana finally loosened up a little in recent times, allowing Sunday alcohol sales, which was another old restriction, but the cold beer rule stuck around until very recently. But here's an update. In 2018, Indiana made a small change, allowing grocery stores to sell cold beer, but only if it's a certain low alcohol type. Regular strength beer still falls under the old rule. 14. Iowa. Ice cream trucks are banned in Indianola. Summer just feels a little different in Indianola, Iowa. That's because you won't hear the jingling tune of the entertainer booming from an ice cream truck, and the rocking tunes notwithstanding, all ice cream trucks have been banned in Indianola since 1967. The initial reason is quite sad. In the 60s, a little girl tragically died after running into the street for an ice cream, and the town's reaction was to outlaw ice cream trucks entirely. They figured if the trucks weren't around, kids wouldn't be darting into danger for a frozen treat. Entrepreneurs have petitioned the city to let the treats on wheels roll again, arguing that times have changed. Yet, as of the mid-2010s, the ban was still in effect, upheld by a combination of safety concerns and probably a bit of that's the way it's always been and tradition. 13. Kansas. No cherry pie a la mode on Sundays in Topeka. As I continue our coverage on the all-out assault on the availability of everything sweet across America, let's melt away our hopes for Sunday treats as we learn that for a period of time in Topeka, Kansas, your cherry pie was required to be plain on Sundays, meaning no scoop of ice cream on top. An old law supposedly made it illegal to serve cherry pie a la mode, or pie with ice cream, on the Sabbath. This has to be one of the more perplexing blue laws out there. Why cherry pie? Why Sundays? The origin story is fuzzy, but it likely stems from an era of strict Sunday laws when doing anything too joyful or indulgent on that holy day was frowned upon. Can you imagine the sting operation for this law? Where cops just bust into a diner yelling, "Drop the spoon! Put your hands up and step away from the dessert!" I mean, I could use that kind of support sometime to keep my blood sugar in check, to be honest. But this law has sat dormant and unnoticed, occasionally resurfacing so locals could chuckle and say, "Oh yeah, that's on our books, isn't it?" In any case, Topeka residents today can dollop ice cream on any flavor pie any day they please, without fear of the confectionery constable. 12. Kentucky. Officials must swear they've never dueled. It's time to settle that beef in a peaceful way, if you have one. If you want to hold public office in Kentucky, or even become a lawyer, you have to swear that you've never participated in a duel. Yes, as in Pistols at Dawn, Alexander Hamilton versus Aaron Burr style. This requirement is actually written into the Kentucky Constitution. It dates back to the 1800s when dueling was a serious problem when politicians and other gentlemen were settling scores with gunfire, which tended to thin out the political pool. To curb the violence, Kentucky put in an oath of office that basically says, "I promise I have not fought a duel with deadly weapons nor acted as a second in one." Only after affirming that can you officially serve. In modern times, this oath is a mere formality, but it's a colorful one. Sweet, I'm still available to serve in Kentucky. I've never been a part of a duel. All right. 11. Maine. Dancing requires a special permit in bars. Don't be surprised if some pubs in Maine feel like the town from Footloose. In this New England state, any establishment that serves alcohol must have a special amusement permit if it wants to allow dancing. That's right. You need official permission to boogie down where booze is sold. This law varies by town, but it's based on state guidelines that give local governments control over nightlife activities. Does it happen often? Nah. Most places that want dancing just get the permit, which usually isn't hard to get, and then rock on with their bad selves. 10. Maryland. Swearing on highways is illegal in Rockville. If you've ever driven in bad traffic, you know how hard it is to keep your language clean when someone flying past you down the highway somehow automatically causes profanity to fly from your mouth. Well, if you're driving through Rockville, Maryland, you better keep it PG. Rockville has a local law that prohibits swearing in public, which explicitly includes streets and highways. The intention, of course, is to uphold public decency and to keep everything a family-friendly atmosphere, even on the roadways. Now, Does that mean Rockville cops are hiding behind highway signs with a swear jar waiting to ticket potty mouths? Highly unlikely. But it's funny to think about. A little cathartic cussing causes you to call off work for court. Realistically, Rockville drivers have probably mastered the art of euphemism. Maybe a frustrated, fiddlesticks, or son of a biscuit might be heard when the traffic jams hit. 9. Massachusetts. No gorillas in car back seats. Hey, Diddy Kong Racing was my jam back in the day whenever I got my hands on a Nintendo, but let's be honest, Uncle DK would have never been allowed behind the wheel in real life. And for some reason, Massachusetts felt the need to take it a step further and prevent gorillas from sitting in the back seat. This law is likely about safety and probably animal welfare. I mean, could you just picture some guy driving with a gorilla arguing over directions or what music to play and then getting pulled over? License and registration, and is that a gorilla in the back seat? Sir, I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle. In any case, next time you're in Massachusetts and have a sudden urge to be the villain of Mighty Joe Young, just don't. Stick to driving humans around and leave transporting gorillas to the professionals. Or, the zoo. 8. Michigan. Cars can't be bought or sold on Sundays. And, in the vein of things you can't do with your car, this next M state might surprise you that even in the heart of the Motor City, Sunday might be a day of rest. For car salesmen, at least. In Michigan, there's a long-standing blue law that prohibits buying, selling, or trading cars on Sunday. This law dates back decades and was originally tied to religious Sunday observance and giving workers a guaranteed day off. Many states once had similar laws, but in Michigan, home of Detroit and America's auto industry, it's particularly notable. It's like even the cars get a Sabbath in their birthplace. For consumers, it can be a bummer or a blessing. Sure, you can't wheel and deal on Sunday, but it also means one day a week you can browse the lot in peace without salespeople popping up like, hey, can I help you folks? Think of it as Chick-fil-A rules, but for cars. If you absolutely need that set of wheels ASAP, plan ahead and do your buying on literally any other day. Otherwise, spend Sunday revving up your research and come Monday you can car shop to your heart's content. Even the auto industry, it seems, needs a nap once a week. 7. Minnesota. Greased pig contests are illegal. Moving on to another M state with a mildly messy laws in the book. In Minnesota, the lawmakers have mandated a moratorium on greased pig contests. That's where people chase after an oiled up pig, which is apparently illegal in the land of 10,000 lakes. It's actually a misdemeanor to organize or participate in such a contest. The reason is straightforward. It's all about preventing cruelty to animals. At some point, Minnesota decided that these old-time amusements were not exactly kind to our four-legged friends, and they put a stop to it. Of course, most people today probably aren't lining up to chase pigs in the mud anyway. I mean, we have Netflix now. And you can still find plenty of weird and delightful contests at Minnesota fairs. Butter carving, anyone? 6. Montana. Sheep must have a chaperone in truck cabs. If you think you were done with M states, think again. And for our 6th M state in a row, for number 6, Montana actually does allow some animals in the back of vehicles, but there is a catch. Believe it or not, it's illegal in Montana to have a sheep in the cab of your truck without a chaperone. Yes, somewhere in Montana history, the powers that be decided that if you're transporting a sheep, there better be a second human present to keep an eye on things. How did we even get here? Although I doubt this has come up much recently since most folks keep livestock in the back or, in a trailer, some legal experts suggest sheep are valuable livestock and leaving them unattended could lead to injury or theft. Honestly, they should make an exception for a corgi chaperone. I'm just saying, leave it to the experts. 5. Nevada. Sitting or lying on sidewalks in Reno is banned. Reno, Nevada is famous for neon lights, casinos, and Lieutenant Jim Dangle from Reno 911. I mean, who hasn't found themselves new boot goofing? But the little city in the world has a new claim to fame, telling people to get off the sidewalk, literally. As of early 2025, the city of Reno implemented an ordinance that bans sitting or lying down on sidewalks and other public right-of-ways in some areas. To be blunt, they don't want people camping out or sprawling on the sidewalk. Whether you're homeless, a protester, or just exhausted from getting eloped last night, Elvis might be able to read you your vows, but he probably can't read you for rights. The police are supposed to first give a warning if needed. Only if someone refuses to budge could they charge someone with misdemeanor charges or make them pay a fine. Critics have argued it's targeting homeless folks and not really solving any underlying issues like affordable housing. The city council, however, insists they're just keeping sidewalks safe and usable, particularly for those with disabilities who might need access to the sidewalk too. 4. New Hampshire. Nighttime seaweed collecting is outlawed. Live free or die is the motto in New Hampshire. But just know that freedom doesn't apply to, get this, gathering seaweed at night. Believe it or not, there's a law that makes it illegal to collect seaweed from the beach after dark. This statute dates back to colonial times and was reaffirmed in the 70s when seaweed was a hot commodity as fertilizer for farms. The law was likely designed to give the ecosystem a break from over-harvesting. I mean, it's not exactly a booming black market. Most of us get our fertilizer from Home Depot these days. Just know that in New Hampshire, when you're under the stars, the seaweed is off limits by decree of law and maybe a pinch of old Yankee superstition. 3. New Mexico. Anthems must be sung in full. If you plan to belt out the Star-Spangled Banner or the state anthem in New Mexico, you'd better know all the words and the melody, start to finish, or else. New Mexico has a law that prohibits performing the U.S. national anthem or the state song, "O Fair New Mexico," in any incomplete or truncated fashion. In other words, no remix, no abridged version, no skipping verses because they're too high to hit. This law is probably aimed at preserving respect for these anthems. Realistically, what happens is people still sing the typical first verse only, and nobody's getting dragged off to jail for it. But no Jimi Hendrix-style instrumental deviations, no pop divas skipping to the big finish early. If you're like Whitney Houston and you want to hold that brave note for 30 seconds, that's fine, as long as you sang everything before it. 2. Vermont. Women once needed their husband's approval for dentures. Vermont is home to so many sweet things like maple syrup and Bernie Sanders. But it also has the dubious honor of once having a law that required a woman to get her husband's permission to wear false teeth. Yes, dentures were such a big decision that 19th century Vermont felt a married woman couldn't make it on her own. The law supposedly required a signed letter from the husband before a dentist could fit the missus with a new set of fake teeth. Why? Well, back in the 1800s, many laws treated women kind of like property of their husbands. Ugh. And this denture business was likely an extension of that mindset. We've gone from a world where a woman needed permission to chew her food properly to a world where, well, it's still not perfect, but at least everyone can visit the dentist without a permission slip from their spouse. Thankfully, that law has no teeth anymore. 1. Wyoming. Forgetting to close gates incurs fines. In the wide open ranges of Wyoming, there's a code of conduct as old as the frontier. Shut the gate behind you. Wyoming statute says that if you open a gate on someone's property and you don't close it afterwards, you can be fined up to $750. This law is rooted in very practical concerns. Wyoming has lots of ranches and farms with cattle and other livestock roaming within fenced boundaries. An open gate can mean a mini stampede to freedom for a herd, which is bad news for everybody. So when you're out enjoying the Wild West landscapes and you encounter a gate, treat it with respect. And that's the last item on our list today. So if you don't mind closing the gate, make sure it doesn't hit you where the good Lord split you. That joke is kind of outdated too. Anyway, looking back at these 25 laws, which unusual ones surprised or entertained you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable lists and stories, and bop that notification bell so you never miss out. And now that you're an expert on the odd and questionable laws our government has kept around, be sure to check out our list on 25 shocking facts the government doesn't want you to know. That'll pop up here any second now. Until next time, keep your gorillas out of your back seat, and for goodness sake, close that gate behind you, and I'll see you on down the road.